about everything. Anything that you think is crazy, anything that you think is absurd, anything that you think doesn't deserve discussion, we discuss it. And most people, it's unbelievable. I don't know if you know this, but most people, they're not as open-minded and critical thinking as you are coming out tonight. So give yourself a round of applause for coming out tonight, please, loudly. A lot of people don't get the idea that dialogue is important in order to get a bigger picture and understand what real people think. We are now in the midst of something that is so divisive, it's scaring me. And it should scare you too. Because there seemed to be, I think ever since, it had to have been after the first Clinton administration, that there were divisions and there were sides that were switched and changed, and there were attitudes that were switched and changed that don't usually apply. Everything is upside down. It's like we went into mirror world, like in Star Trek, you know, where everybody had beards and it went like this, you know. It's exactly where we are now. We're in that mirror world that was in Star Trek. And it's not like we did it intentionally. We were programmed into being like that. A lot of people kept their minds open. They didn't listen to, you know, television commentators. They don't sit there and cite for the sake of citing, and I call it party purity, but there's something else going on here that needs to be called out, and that is something called identity politics. In a democracy, in a republic, people have different viewpoints and different attitudes politically. It's something that you cannot escape. Everyone has their political views, and that's okay. But there's a problem with identifying with a political structure. Identifying with a political structure puts you in the same league as those who are gathering together and plotting against their fellow man during the times of Nazism, Mussolini, and Stalin. It's the Hegelian dialectic. It is what Karl Marx wanted. It's what Hegel wanted. It's what Hegel professed. It's what Huxley warned about. It is what Orwell warned about. And we're all, most of the majority of this country, are falling for what they warned about. Everything was pretext and precautionary, and for some reason, people don't think it can happen here. People think we're too big to fail. We never follow into that. But see, it's gotten to a point where people are so divided with their identity politics that they forget that it's like there's nationalism for your country, there's jingoism for your country, there's loving country, there's following and like giving your Pledge of Allegiance. It's like singing the national anthem. It's like standing at the national anthem, not sitting out during a football game. It's not interlocking arms. All of this stuff is divisive. These are divisive tools that are getting people to divide. People have a right to sit out. People have a right to say no. And look, I don't care if you care or even support Kaepernick. That isn't the point. Okay? And I want to get into Kaepernick for too long, but I'm just going to say this. This is an issue because the media makes it an issue. It wasn't an issue until the media made it one. Transgender bathrooms were not an issue until they started talking about them. You understand this, right? Right. Nobody cared. You were probably peeing next to somebody who was transgender for a long time, long before the media even told you this. You realize this, right? You realize this. The media is turning into, they're turning into nothing more than rabble-rousers, and they're agents for chaos. They're becoming agents for chaos because I work in a newsroom every day, and I am bombarded. And people are saying, well, lately you've been doing a lot of paranormal shows, Clyde. Yeah, you know why? Because every time I look up at CNN, every time I look up at Fox, every time I look up at all these news shows and the banner lines they have, I shake my head and I go, my God. Do people out there really, really talk about this? And I'm talking about the other talk show hosts I share the air with. And how many people believe that if I talk about something paranormal, if I talk about something that's a little bit more fun or a little bit more interesting, they're saying, we need to know more about what's going on with Hillary Clinton's health. Oh, really? Okay. Let's take a whole play-by-play about how she can't pee in a debate. Let's go down that list. Now, I've talked about it, and don't get me wrong. I mean, it's something to report, but not to the point of getting into records, not to the point of having Donald Trump go on Dr. Oz and show off his credentials and health. You realize that we are doing this to candidates now. You know who's next? You are. You're next. You know why? Because the party politic, or the politic, which is identity politics, will state that it will have to be done because what is good for them is good for you. Never in my life, and it happened after this whole surveillance state medical issue came to be after affordable health care. Never in my life have I seen people who have been accused of committing a crime go from being an accused person who deserves due process in a court of law, according to the Constitution, have their medical records reported on in the news. Never in my life have I heard of something so ludicrous as someone who has a medical marijuana card not able to get a gun because the DEA suspects that if you have a medical marijuana card, you are an addict. Now,
bullshit.
Now, what other controlled substances are they going to check out when you want to get a gun or you want to get something else? And that's the thing. And yeah, you're right, you can't get painkillers anymore. They're sending out notices now telling you that if you're using marijuana or if you're using kratom or if you're using some other herb that they detect, they will cut you off. They may even stop treating you. The federal government is cracking down. I mean, what's the point of legalizing marijuana if the feds are going to basically jail you for using it? There's no point. This is getting to a point where they're like jerking you around. It's like, you remember the push me pull you from Dr. Dolittle?
Yes.
One day the push me pull you looked at the other one and said, you know, one of us is an asshole. That's exactly, who's the asshole? The government and the divisive media that wants you to divide with your identity politics. Identity politics takes nationalism and it doubles it 2 or 3 times over. It never ceases to amaze me that every time I'm on Facebook or I'm in Twitter, and I say something that may lean liberal, okay? Or that may lean a little bit more open, I immediately get tons of people accusing me of being liberal and how I'm stupid because I'm talking liberalism. You know what that is? That's bigotry. That's me judging you for your ideology. That's me not wanting to talk to you because I don't talk to liberals because liberals think like idiots. I don't talk to conservatives because they're tight-ass Fox News listeners and watchers and I don't like conservatives. This is a dividing tool. It's not just about race anymore. It's about ideology. It'd be no different than me saying to you, hey, you're a Baptist? I think Baptists suck and I don't want to talk to you because all Baptists have screwed me over in my lifetime. It's like, oh, you're a Jew. I get it. Okay. The same thing. You think it's harmless. People think it's harmless, but it's not harmless. It's causing harm. This is why our country can't agree on anything. This is why the media will glom on to something Donald Trump says, and they will say he believes this, he believes this, he believes this, and then when he says something different, they're like saying, well, he went back on his statement. No, you know what happened is he clarified a statement that the media took and blew out of proportion, just like they did when Kenneth Arnold said he saw something skimming across the sky that looked like a saucer. Oh, a flying saucer, is it? Okay, we'll write that down, and that's what it'll be. It'll be a flying saucer. The media coined that term. The media coined the term UFO. And the UFO now is an alien saucer or alien ship. But it's not always that. It's an unknown flying object. But no, we've decided that we're changing the meaning, or the media is changing the meaning, just to make people look stupid. Investigative reporters are now what? Conspiracy theorists. Because they have investigated something that the media, the mainstream media, and politics have found uncomfortable. It's gotten to the point of insipidness that Hillary Clinton believes that all conspiracy theorists are under the employ of the Kremlin. She said so. She said that Vladimir Putin is creating these conspiracy theories, and those people like Alex Jones, myself, and others are conspiracy theorists. In fact, somebody told me the other day that Juan Williams mentioned my show on Fox the other day saying, "Where are we? Ground zero? There's so many conspiracy theories spinning around here about Hillary, I don't know what to believe." We're making an impact. But see, the pejorative of conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorists was created by the media to belittle those who are thinking outside of the box. It is there to point out those who don't let their politics rule their choices, who don't identify as Democrat or Republican. You should identify as an American first, and then your philosophies can be expressed and exchanged. But now we can't do that anymore. They're limiting what we say because people will get so tired and so angry, they'll storm away from you, not liking what you say. And that is why I've decided to actually divorce myself of anything political. I've done that because I don't want to get into this, I said, you said, I said this, you said this, well this makes you this makes you that. No, I don't like to be put into a bin. I don't like to be labeled. Labels are for canned beans. Labels are for canned peas and canned corn. Do you guys like being labeled? No. No one likes to be labeled. No one likes to be told that they're a failure. Nobody likes to be told they're ugly. Nobody likes to be told that they don't measure up. Nobody likes to be told that they're not doing what the rest of the world is doing. No one likes a person who speaks truth against power. The biggest casualty of war is truth. The biggest casualty of war is truth. And there is a war on. There's a war on drugs, there's a war on poverty, there's a war on your mind, there's a war for information. Just go down the list of everybody who's declared war on everything. There's not enough war to go around. We're in the midst of a war. We are having a war against conservatives. We're having a war against liberals. We're having a war against those who hate black people. We're having a war against those who stick up for the KKK, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? In this whole process, which is comical, we forget who's responsible for all these groups. Who's responsible? Political groups that we're being told weren't responsible. It's always nice for people on the other side to point fingers at the others and say, they started that, I didn't. They have this philosophy, I didn't. And see, this is why, and this is what really amazed me. I did a show about the Lakota standoff with the pipeline, okay? The reason why I did the show was not for political reasons. And everybody thought that I did. Because they were all telling me how wrong I was because, well, why is it now they're protesting a pipeline? They got all these pipelines going through anyway. That's not the point. That wasn't why I did the show. I did the show because I saw security guards who were paid by some rich billionaire to set the dogs on women and children, and those dogs tasted blood. That's why I did the show. I don't care if a pipeline's going through. I don't care if a guy didn't pay his freaking taxes on his property. I don't care. When a government comes up and brings their huge weapons and their dogs and their tanks, and people are here going, what do I do now? That's when I get pissed off. Yeah. And you should too. Damn right. It doesn't make a hill of beans difference what they've done. We have courts to decide what they've done. Courts. Yes, you can apply if you want to. We have courts to decide. We don't decide it with dogs. We don't decide it with bazookas and RPGs and tanks standing and coming after some guy who didn't pay his BLM payments. And when some guy decides that he wants to avoid a roadblock, we don't sit there and cheer on the fact that he got shot and killed and said, hey, he went and pulled his gun, he deserves to die. Really? That's capital punishment for something of getting out of a car and just basically saying, hey, don't sit there, it's gone. This isn't an anti-cop rant, this is a life rant. It's about life. Does anybody give a shit about life anymore? That's what I want to know. When these Lakotas and all these other Indian and Native American groups, they called themselves protectors, not protesters. They're protecting the water. They're saying they're protecting the water. I believe they're protecting the water. Do you know why I didn't do this story for a month? Because it was a freaking yawning festival. You know why it was a yawning festival? Because all they did is just sat around, prayed, and hoped that something would change with their gathering. I started talking when people were being killed, people were being harmed, people were having dogs turned on them. Women and children. And you know what? Immediately I was told, Clyde, you don't understand. You don't, they should have been there for their hearing. You don't understand. Really? So a group of people that probably don't know their way around a courtroom or know their way around the law are going to be punished by guys with guns. You know, they call the National Guard out there. They want a freaking Kent State. They're just waiting for the first shot to fire so they can say, well, you know, and this is what I get. Oh, they stormed the fence. They deserve it. They stormed the fence, they deserve to get what they get because they stormed the fence, they're trespassing. And you know what I said to them? Those who told me that? I said, you know what? Why don't we get a bulldozer, go to the cemetery where your grandfather and grandmother are buried, and let's dig them up and see how you feel.
Yeah.
Are you going to storm the cemetery and stand there with your teeth in your mouth waiting for somebody to stop digging? People have got to have empathy and sympathy. I am tired of the Stockholm Syndrome that we have for this government that doesn't give a hill of beans about you.
That's right.
Now, I'm not telling you to bring your guns and start shooting. No, what I'm telling you is there needs to be a dialogue that says, hey, you know what? Fuck them.
Yes.
There's not enough of fuck them. There's not enough of no. No is one of the smallest words and one of the biggest words we can use at the same time. If someone starts talking to you and talks down to you because they don't like your political ideology, fuck them. They don't belong in a discussion. Because this isn't a discussion, this is some diatribe, some soapbox, well, my candidate can do no wrong. Both sides are bad. We know this. The polls say that we're all basically being philosophical about our vote this year. Either we vote for, as they say on South Park, the douchebag or the turd sandwich. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
Well, I thought that we were voting for the douchebag this year, dear. No, I'm kind of for the turd sandwich. I kind of like the way the turd sandwich makes me feel when I hear her speak. Oh, well, I'm still voting for the douchebag.
I want the cow.
And that's exactly what it is. I mean, I know we gotta vote for somebody, right?
We do.
Hey,
That's what I'm told.
No matter what, no matter who wins on either side, the people that are all pissed off that Trump would win is going to cause some type of big issue, and either vice.
You know what this is? You know what this is? How many here like Aliens versus Predator?
Right?
The movie.
yeah.
Remember the slogan? Aliens versus Predator. It doesn't matter who wins, we lose. That's what it is. It's Aliens versus Predator. Take your pick. Which one do you want? It's all because of identity politics. If you find yourself in a situation where you have to identify yourself as a joiner of something, then something's wrong with you. You have to be a sovereign individual in order to think. And you've got to be open and listen in order to hear what other people tell you. And the thing is we've learned, I don't know who started it, I don't know who's conditioning it, but you know what? Americans don't stand for anything anymore. They stand against everything. When was the last time you heard anybody standing up for anything? But boy, we sure are against this. We sure hate that. Oh my God, I'm a victim here, I'm a victim there. Oh, he's being oppressed more than he's being oppressed. My God, why are they oppressing us the same way as you're oppressing them? Let's start clubs and cottage industries. Let George Soros kind of fill up the coffers here. It's going on, man. It's a cottage industry. Victimization is a cottage industry because we don't stand up for anything. We stand against everything. I'm against this. I'm against that. Well, what do you stand up for? I stand up for what my candidate says I got to stand up for. Really? So, what about common sense? Is that going to help? Well, my common sense is that I'm conservative. And my common sense is I'm a liberal. That's common sense for me. No, you know what it is? It's programming. It's a program. Why do you think they call it television programming? You can always tell who you're talking to if you watch the news and you're talking to somebody and you say something that pisses them off just a little bit and they start parroting what they heard on the news the other day. Yeah, I watched the same news show you did. When people are fully aware of what is being parroted by the media, we're turning into the robots that we're creating as well, because robots parrot what we do. You heard the show that I did about this chat bot. It was on Twitter. Tay was what it was called. And Tay was supposed to be a fun-loving chat bot that young people could play with. Ask it questions, and it would ask questions back. Kind of like Siri, but in a more intimate way. Within 24 hours, Tay was saying that Hitler was right and that we should build a wall and let the Mexicans pay for it. Yeah. Hitler was right, we should build a wall and let the Mexicans pay for it. I think the Jews deserve to die, la, 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 all that stuff was coming out of her brain.
Everybody was telling her messed up things.
Well, that's right. 96,000 entries were having her say those very things. And what was really sad about that is that after the 96,000 entries were in there, Tay went from being racist, insensitive to ethnic groups, misogynist, and going down the list, finally, she became homophobic and transgender phobic. And the thing was interesting is that she was transgender phobic on her own.
Wow! It's an AI.
It was an AI. So what did she thought? Well, I'm going to play in context now. You hate blacks, Jews, you hate everybody. I hate people who are transgender. And I'm going to start hating them now. First, she said great things about Caitlyn Jenner. And then turned around and said she's the ugliest woman I've ever seen. And she got Woman of the Year. That's a computer speaking. A computer that is in its infancy. It's like teaching a child. I think we need to understand that our technology, in a lot of respects, the technology we have in a lot of respects is like a child. It's in its infancy. And it will mimic what we put into it. Yeah.
Do you remember Alice Bot?
Yeah, I remember Alice Bot.
Back in the day where you can actually go on, it was like back, 2002, 2003, it was an artificial intelligence
Yeah.
website, and go and actually have a conversation with her.
Right.
That's where they actually went. They took Alice Bot and made it into this AI.
Right. And the AI was abused, and the AI reflected in 24 hours, and using data neuromining, they were able to get from context that we all hate each other.
Where does the love come in?
Well, the love comes in when we are open-minded to one another, and you know, things like this, dialogue. You know, it's like, if we find out what people really think, I think it would change our minds about what people really think. Because the media tells us what we're thinking. The media tells me all the time what you guys are thinking. And I go on the air and I say, I don't see it. I don't see it. For example, okay, has anybody ever wondered, and I'm wondering, why the hell is this birther shit coming back? Ever wonder? I can tell you why. Okay, being in the media, I can tell you why. All right? Donald Trump said at one time that he wanted to challenge Barack Obama to show his birth certificate. Okay? And everybody came down on him saying, "You son of a bitch, what are you doing?" Okay? And a lot of people are under the assumption, and this is true, a lot of people are under the assumption that the birther movement was created by conservatives to hurt Barack Obama. Bullshit. Bullshit. I'll tell you exactly who started the birther movement, and don't let the media tell you otherwise. The Hillary Clinton campaign against Barack Obama in 2008. So to have Hillary Clinton sitting up there saying, well, you know, he's pushing this lie, and having CNN say, oh, we're had, he changed his mind, blah, 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 blah. No, you know what he did? Him saying that Barack Obama was born in the United States was a big fuck you to Hillary Clinton.
Period.
Because what he said was very interesting. He said, I think this should end with me. Inferring that it started with her. Now, you can't directly link it to Hillary Clinton. And the reason why is called plausible deniability.
But you forgot.
Yeah, well, it's plausible deniability. This is why it's plausible deniability. Because back in 2008, anybody hear of Puma? Puma? Party Unity My Ass. Anybody hear Party Unity My Ass? Probably not, because it's gone into the memory hole. There was a group called Party Unity My Ass. And what it was a group of individuals that loved Hillary Clinton so much. And the reason why I know this is because guess who I supported back when she was running with Barack Obama?
No.
Yeah, I did. And then I immediately jumped ship when Rush Limbaugh supported her. Oh, anybody remember that?
Operation Chaos.
Yeah, Operation, God, you guys are brilliant. Operation Chaos. Okay? This is where it's all a big show. When you have a big conservative guy like Rush Limbaugh say that he supports Hillary Clinton, I jump ship then. I mean, I'm not conservative or liberal, but I'll tell you, I was thinking that Hillary, at the time was right for Hillary to be president because I figured a female president would be a man. I was kind of that philosophy at the time. Now I'm thinking, she's a little out there now. And she's lying a lot now. And she's a little bad now. Very bad now. I mean, Trump's no better. I mean, I don't know. If you like, I mean, I watch The Apprentice a lot. Maybe that would make me feel more comfortable. But
Scales of justice.
it would only work if Gene Simmons was his vice president. Or Ted Nugent. That's the only right? Right? Okay. Ted Nugent or Gene Simmons. Either way. But, so, I can tell you, because I had it on my show, Peter Berg was a lawyer from Pennsylvania. A liberal Jewish guy who said, and he's the guy that sued the Bush administration along with 154 other people about 9/11 being an inside job being conducted by who? The Saudis. Those 28 pages didn't mean anything to me because I had said months, maybe years ago, that Berg had said that Saudis did it, they were investigating, we had the information, the Saudis did it, and now the 28 pages come out, the Saudis did it, and Bandar Bush did it, and blah, 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 blah. I'm going, I had to go through with that because I just wanted to make sure that my findings were finally gelling with the findings of the 28 pages, which they did. But it's because of good old Peter Berg, who decided to push the issue of Barack Obama not being born in the United States. Peter Berg was an avid Clinton supporter and a friend of the Clintons. It was Hillary's camp that sent out that picture of Barack Obama in his Muslim garb. I actually posted on my Facebook page that story from 2008 and how the media blasted her for being insensitive and horrible and blah, 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 blah. But now it's totally different.